So our great mates Honor have been indulging in some major grade A willy waving so far in 2025 over this wee bugger, the Magic V5 foldable. Because for several months now they've been claiming it's the skinniest bendy blower around. Well, it's finally here, and I've been using the Honor Magic V5 for over a week as my full-time phone, testing out that camera tech, battery life and other bits. But Samsung has been similarly swinging its schlong over the fresh new Galaxy Z Fold 7, once again over that size 0 design. So between them and Honor windmilling all over the place, it's getting rather breezy from all of that flapping flesh. There's a metaphor that's going to cause a few nightmares. Anyway, I've already reviewed the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, so here's how that and the Honor Magic V5 stack up. Which is the best foldable for you? Well, here's a half-arse side-by-side comparison from your drunken uncle. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe, ding the old notifications bell. Ta! Now first up, yes, Honor is very right indeed to slap its meat over the Magic V5, because as you can see there, it is a stupidly skinny foldable when it's folded up, and of course when it's unfurled. Now, apparently there's an ivory white version of the Honor Magic V5 which measures just 8.8mm thick when it's folded up, which is a cockroach's pube thinner than the Galaxy Z Fold 7. However, just to confuse matters, all other models of the Honor Magic V5, including this one which I've got clutched in my slightly sweaty fist, is actually 9mm thick when folded, and therefore a ladybird's ball bag bigger than the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And you can indeed see that this is the case when you stick them side by side, but we're talking literally millimeters here. Both phones are stupidly thin, so honestly, who really gives a flying toss? Especially since, as you can see there, those camera bumps add on a fair bit of extra chunk anyway. And the Honor Magic V5 pleasingly lightweight for a foldable as well at just 222 grams. Again, the Z Fold 7 slightly lighter at 215 grams, but both very impressive. The design continues to impress when you get to the hinge, because as you can see, neither sticks out particularly far. You've got quite a rectangular finish for both of them, especially the Z Fold 7. At least you've got a slight bit of curvature on these two corners with the Magic V5. And apparently you've got yourself a nanocrystal shield display here on the Honor Magic V5 with a pre-installed screen protector slapped on top versus a bit of Victus Ceramic 2 action here on the Z Fold 7. I was slightly concerned about that lack of screen protector on the Z Fold 7, but so far, touch wood, still pristine. And around back it's more glass for the Z Fold 7, bit of Victus 2, which again, still in good nick, no scratches or scuffs. But my preference is the fibre arse here on the Honor Magic V5. It's got a lovely textured finish which really helps with the grip, looks fantastic, and it certainly offers a superb bit of hand feel. Not to mention it doesn't get as mucky and greasy as the Z Fold 7, although to be fair that matte finish does a pretty good job of repelling general grimness. And the Honor Magic V5 is IP58 and 59 rated compared with the IP48 rating of the Z Fold 7. So therefore Honor's bendy blower is slightly more resistant to infiltration from dust, dirt, tiny bits of cack, compared with that Z Fold 7, and it can also tolerate great big unexpected spurts of liquid, unlike the Z Fold 7. Oh, and that camera bump works a lot better as a finger shelf when you're using the Magic V5 one-handed as well, compared with the far too slender effort here on the Z Fold 7. Now, similar dimensions for the cover screens on the Magic V5 and the Z Fold 7, a 6.43-inch OLED panel here on the Honor Magic V5 compared with a 6.5-inch AMOLED here on the Z Fold 7. Very similar aspect ratios and also resolutions on these panels. 2376 by 1060 for the Magic and 2520 by 1080 for the Galaxy. Both cover displays sport LTPO tech, which max out at 120Hz refresh, and you got some respectable eye comfort shenanigans too. In fact, Honor takes that eye comfort shenanigans super serious to the point where there's actually an entirely separate section in the settings with lots of different options, including, as you can see there, a bit of high frequency PWM dimming. Supports up to 4320Hz dimming, but you can tweak this setting if you like. Whereas Samsung, not quite as dedicated, shall we say. You've still got the eye comfort shield, which you can schedule and tweak the color temperature of, etc. That's pretty much it. Don't count on the same level of PWM dimming, that's for sure. And the Honor Magic V5 is HDR ready as well, just like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. However, the Magic V5 supports Dolby Vision on top of HDR10+, whereas on the Sammy it's just the HDR10+. And both displays are reassuringly bright on the maximum levels, as well as can counter any glare on a very sunshiny day. And then yank these bad boys open, you've got a 7.95-inch OLED internal screen here on the Honor Magic V5 versus Samsung's full 8 inches, ladies. And Honor's hinge doesn't feel quite as stiff as Samsung's, that's for sure. It's certainly a little bit easier to open one-handed, especially as there seems to be just a wee bit more of a gap to wedge your thumb inside of here in the Honor Magic V5. This also means that the Honor tends to occasionally just flop open when you are doing a video chat or something like that. If you try and go for a more extreme angle. And apparently Honor and Samsung have reinforced their internal displays to just boost the robustness. And bugger all difference when it comes to the screen crease as well. Not really visible when you're viewing these mighty panels head on. It's only when you start to tilt these phones and the light catches them just so that you notice that yes, there is a dip running down the middle there. Speaking of which, as you can see there, the Honor Magic V5 clearly has a less reflective screen protector slapped on it. So that really does boost the visibility if you are in a sunshiny area. You know, outdoors use is fine on the Z Fold 7, but certainly a lot more clear what is going on here on the Honor Magic V5. And Honor's internal screen slightly sharper as well, with a 2352 by 2172 pixel resolution versus Samsung's 2184 by 1968 panel. And it's the same situation for both internal screens when it comes to the HDR smarts. You've got the Dolby Vision as well as HDR10+ here on the Honor Magic V5. The LTPO tech once again scaling up to 120Hz and all the way down to 1Hz when there's bugger all happening. And of course the eye comfort malarkey too. And both of these almighty foldables sport a respectable stereo speaker setup. Now for my first few days with the Honor Magic V5, I was experiencing quite a few Bluetooth streaming issues, the music getting a bit juddery every now and then, and occasionally just completely cutting out if I got a notification, which was super helpful. But thankfully, touch words, a recent update seems to have sorted that out, touch words. And the Honor Magic V5, just like the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, sports an edge-mounted fingerprint sensor built into that power button, which is easily accessed when the phone is folded up and can still be accessed when the phone is open too. Ideally, you want to be using your right hand for that one, because with the left it's slightly awkward, although still doable. And if your fingers are a bit grubby, a bit wet or something, well, no worries, you do have a bit of face unlock action too. And then the software, and the Honor Magic V5 sadly still stuck on Android 15, whereas the Z Fold 7 comes with Android 16, fresh and tasty out of the box. However, Honor is generously offering 7 OS updates and 7 years of security patching, certainly here in the UK and the EU with the Honor Magic V5. So that's a match for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, although of course it does have that leg up by already being on Android 16. And even though they're both running Android, the software experience is quite different on this pair. Your good old Magic OS 9 slathered on top of it here on the Magic V5. Whereas of course it's Samsung's One UI slapped on the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And for me it's kind of like comparing soggy underwear to stale cheese. In my opinion, neither are particularly pleasant, although for completely different reasons. You will find a lot of similarities, including the old media pill that pops up over the selfie cam here on the Honor Magic V5. It's actually wedged slightly off to the side here on the Z Fold 7. You've got a gaming mode with both, although it's considerably more feature-packed and in-depth here on the Magic V5. And of course, both of these foldables allow you to indulge in a bit of light multitasking simply by dragging and dropping app icons from the below dock bit. Honor appears to have slightly cribbed from OnePlus's sheet when it comes to multitasking, because as you can see, you can kind of wedge other apps off the screen, make them mostly full size, which just gives you a bit more room to play with, and then quickly swap between the two like so. In fact, you can even get a third app involved if you want to really go crazy with the multitasking. I still don't think it's quite as refined as the open canvas setup. Oppo and OnePlus have just mastered multitasking on the big internal display on their foldables. But you know, it works here on the Magic V5 just as it works on the Z Fold 7. And Honor, much like Samsung, has fully embraced AI. So you've got the usual googly shenanigans, including Gemini and Circle to Search. Both have got AI subtitling, translation, etc. Of course, one of the more unique AI features here on the Honor Magic V5 is the AI deepfake detection, which may sadly become very relevant in the near future as we get calls from people who look like our loved ones but are in fact massive scammy twats. The Honor Magic V5 is certainly a match for the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold when it comes to the performance, because it's once again powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite. That means it's once again, like the Galaxy, perfectly capable of gaming on unoptimized memory slurping titles like Wuthering Waves. You can battle your way through hordes of Gribblies for hours on end here on the Magic. And while it does get rather toasty, certainly around the camera bump area, thankfully the performance doesn't seem to throttle. Didn't notice any dip in that frame rate even when I was gaming for well over an hour. And that is of course with the graphics settings boosted all the way up. So gamers will be just as happy here on the Magic V5 as they will on the Z Fold 7. In fact, even happier, because the gaming mode is certainly a step above. You've got plenty of different tools and features to piddle about with in there. And connectivity seems to be just as good on the Honor Magic V5 as that Samsung Fold. Had absolutely bugger all issues with getting online wherever I've wandered outdoors. But one area where the Honor Magic V5 absolutely smashes the Galaxy Z Fold 7, and the one reason I would highly recommend this as one of the best foldables right now, is the battery life. You see, while Samsung has made do with a piddly 4,400 mAh capacity cell in its skinny wee bugger, Honor has managed to smush a 5,820 mAh capacity cell into that similarly skinny frame. So while I was slightly nervous using the Galaxy Z Fold 7 as my full-time phone because I was in power saver mode every single bloody evening, no such trauma here with the Honor Magic V5. I typically end most days with around 30 to 40% battery charge still remaining, unless I've been liberally using that camera or doing a good bit of gaming, in which case it will drain a bit more. But even when playing the likes of Wuthering Waves on maxed out graphics settings, maxed out performance and everything, I still got 4 solid hours of action from a 100% charge here on the Honor Magic V5, which ain't too shabby at all, compared with just over 3 hours typically from the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And likewise, if you need to do an emergency charge of the Honor Magic V5, no worries, you've got 66 watt wired charging support, not the nippiest around by any means, but still pretty fast, as compared with the tediously slow 25 watts on the Z Fold 7, although because the capacity of the battery is smaller, it doesn't take too long to charge. And it's a similar story for the wireless charging support as well. As long as you've got a supported stand, you've got 50 watt wireless charging support on the Magic V5 versus 15 on the Z Fold 7. Alright kiddies, I am starting to absolutely melt in the heat of this studio right now, but before I dissolve, let's have a bit of a squint at the camera tech. Now for that primary shooter, what we have on the Honor Magic V5 is a 50 meg Sony IMX906 sensor going up against Samsung's own 200 megapixel sensor here on the Z Fold 7. And the Z Fold 7's sensor doesn't just have a larger megapixel count, it is a significantly bigger sensor as well, which should translate into better low-light photography. And sure enough, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 captures brighter, bolder pics with significantly more detail in softer light versus the Honor Magic V5. Although occasionally Samsung's heavy processing makes your photo look artificially sharpened, because it kinda is. The Magic V5 pumps out more natural colours, whether the lighting is good or total trouser. But that said, if you want to, you can swap to the vibrant mode on the Honor Blower, which boosts those tones to Galaxy-esque levels, or sometimes even makes them more vivid. And there is also a natural option as well, which seems to be similar to authentic, just again a little bit brighter. Very different telephoto tech as well. You've got a 64 meg Omnivision sensor on the Honor Magic V5 versus Samsung's more basic 10 megapixel telephoto shooter, although both boast a 3 times optical zoom plus almost identical focal equivalent. But Honor's sensor is actually larger than the piddly Samsung effort this time around. And yes, in softer light, the Honor Magic V5's zoom lens captures cleaner, less noisy photos, again with more natural tones compared with the Z Fold 7. But either way, when you start to pinch in beyond the 10 times zoom level, both phones quickly lose the plot and that visual quality nosedives. All the same, pretty solid telephoto action on both of these foldables. And then last up, you've got yourself a 50 meg ultra wide angle shooter on the Honor Magic V5 up against a more basic 12 meg ultra wide on the Samsung. And despite that megapixel difference, I usually preferred the Z Fold 7's output. That Magic V5 often spaffs out murky results, especially in high contrast situations. And of course you've got the usual selection of obligatory bonus camera modes, including a bit of portrait shenanigans. And yes, both of these bendy blowers also sport a full-on pro mode where you can fiddle around with the shutter speeds, the EV levels, bit of ISO action, etc. And yes, you have the ability to shoot RAW images with both as well. And yes, you can use the cover screen as a sort of preview if you want to take selfies or vlogs or whatever with the rear camera setup. And both of these bendy blowers can record 4K footage at up to 60 frames per second if you opt for the Z Fold 7, where you can also record up to 8K resolution footage if you've got an 8K TV or monitor for whatever reason, and you actually want to see your face in 8K. I certainly do not. Yeah, both can cope with strong contrast. They've got HDR smarts built in, the audio pickup absolutely fine, and respectable stabilization too. Otherwise, you've also got yourself a pair of 20 megapixel selfie cameras on the Honor Magic V5, one for the cover screen, one for the internal display, and a pair of 10 megapixel selfie cameras here on the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. Pretty handy for your video chat shenanigans, especially as you can prop up the phones like so and go hands-free. And there you have it, my lovelies. That in a delicious wee nutshell is what I reckon of the Honor Magic V5 after using it as my full-time phone for just over a week now, and how it stacks up against Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 7. And frankly, after all of that malleable mobile chat, your Uncle Spurt is in dire need of a few shots of whiskey. I think it's probably one of those leave the bottle type situations. The Honor Magic V5, few software quirks and general Magic OS aside, it's a superb bit of hardware, really is impressive tech indeed, and of course much better battery life than the Galaxy Z Fold 7, which does unfortunately put a bit of strain on the old heart when it comes to the evenings and you're already balls deep in that power saver mode. But what do you reckon? It'd be great to hear your thoughts down below. Which one would you go for and why? Or can they both absolutely do one? Let us know down below. Please do poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell while you're at it, and have yourselves a ruddy, wonderful rest of the week. Oh, and don't forget to watch the Z Fold 7 review if you haven't already. It's a cracker. Cheers everybody, love you! But of course Samsung has similarly been swinging its schlong. That is quite the tongue twister.